what point did you realise there might be something wrong?
Pinpointing things and going back and thinking about things. Like, I was very tired for a period of time, but I was very much like in the mindset of who isn't tired. It was only then one day I had looked in the mirror at myself and I had noticed a change in one of my breasts. That I was then looking, going, okay, that's not supposed to be there. Thought maybe I had bumped it, banged it, didn't think overly too much in depth about it. And then it was only as time went on, kind of asked my sisters and close friends, I'm like, should I be worried about this? Like, is this something? They were like, that doesn't look normal. I had obviously went to my GP. It would have been the end of May 2024. At that point, when she had said, there's something there, I can't say what. I was like, right, okay. I went away from it that day and cried a lot of tears because in my gut, like deep down, I was like, there is something wrong here. Would have had to wait to go up for the triple assessment. Got my letter to say there was an appointment made for you in the clinic in James's. So I was like, that's fine. I actually went up on my own that day. And I went up thinking, oh, I'll get everything done this day. It's just a few tests. It's fine. And then family then realised I was after going up and being on my own. They're like, why did you go up on your own? But that day was literally just a sit down with their consultant up there for them to have a look and for them to decide, yes, we are going to refer you to go down. I'm like, am I getting that done today? They're like, no, it won't be today. It'll be another 2 weeks. I was like, what? I was like, in my head, I thought I was getting everything done on the one day. Had to wait then a further 2 weeks before I went up to get the triple assessment. So it was a mammogram, an ultrasound and a biopsy. And definitely hearing the 3 words together, I was like, there's definitely something they're looking for. So thankfully that day I did bring my 2 sisters with me. So they were there with me while I was getting the test done. But I knew from that point that I had cancer. Everyone was trying to tell me, it's fine, you're okay, it's going to be okay. And I remember going home to my mum and dad, and I was still living at home at this point, and I just burst out crying. I was like, I don't want to lose my hair. They're like, you're not going to lose your hair. I was like, I'm telling you now. I said, like, I'm sick. I don't feel sick. I don't look sick. It's like, but I have cancer. And obviously their worlds were falling apart because they were trying to be so strong for me. And it's that whole thing of, we don't know until you're told. And I had taken the rest of that week off work to obviously just recover from the biopsy. My best friend was getting married. I was bridesmaid. I hadn't told her that I was up getting the test done. And then we realised quite quickly I was going to have to tell her because obviously I had a lot of bruising. The weekend of the wedding, I was actually quite sick. Obviously there was alcohol involved, of course there was. It was a wedding. But I became quite ill that day. I got like a really bad headache. I ended up throwing up, which I would never do, like maybe when I'm hungover. But the next day, horrendously sick as well. But I'd kind of picked myself back up again, and we were very much like living. There was a lot going on at that time. There was celebrations coming up, and we just kind of stayed going as much as we could until I got the date to go back up to meet with the consultant, which was the 30th of July 2024. And I went up that day and brought my partner Colin in with me, and sat down, and nurse kind of came out to get me. Obviously I didn't know the procedure or the protocol, but once the door opened and I seen a doctor sitting on a chair and she introduced me, this is Mr. Al-Wazawi. I was like, okay, sat down, and he just looked at me and he's like, so you're up here for a triple assessment? I was like, yeah. And in the sense things, when you think about it, I feel like it was given so quickly, but then I felt like I was in there hours. Just like kind of looked at me, he's like, I'm really sorry to tell you, but he's like, we did find cancer. And I erupted, and my partner erupted, and I was like, I knew it. And then very quickly I was like, how am I going to tell my mother? It was all like a lot of emotions and feelings kind of came at once, and I found myself sitting there. Myself and my partner were after going sale agreed on our home in the middle of all of this. So that was very daunting, but it kept us very busy because we were trying to secure our mortgage protection, mortgage insurance, and didn't know what barriers we were going to face. I was kind of, in a sense, thinking, okay, if it is worst case scenario, we're still going to manage to hold on to it. Like, our premium will just be loaded, and that had definitely kept us busy thinking about that, to then going and looking for the mortgage protection. Like, we can't give it until you have your results. So we were like, right, okay. And then obviously the minute then I got my results, I turned around to the doctor and was like, can I have a letter? And he was looking at me going, what is she looking for a letter for? And I explained, I said, we are trying to secure our home. I was like, I obviously now need to provide evidence that we are now in this situation and kind of see what we have to do. So it definitely, it took over in a good way, because it was keeping us busy. Like, the day after my diagnosis, I obviously sat with the news that day. There was lots of tears. We had to tell like our nearest and dearest, and nothing prepares you to tell your family at the age of 32, I'm after being diagnosed with a very aggressive form of cancer. I don't know what my treatment plan is. I don't know what the next while entails. And everything was like, the conversations I was having with people were like, oh my God, what about the house? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, we could lose it. And then that even took over more. And I've said it before to a lot of people. I was like, I was more upset of the potential of losing my house than I was of being told I had cancer, because like, I was looking at the future. Myself and my partner were 10 years together at that point, and I was like, this is the next stage for us. So I was like, if like being at home, it's obviously amazing, like living with my family, and my sisters were still there and my brother. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to cope. I was like, if we lose our house, I was telling him to leave me. I was like, I'm holding you back. It's conversations that you don't expect to have at the age of 32, in the middle of being told, yeah, your sale agreed, brilliant. We were relishing in that. Like, I had gotten the news literally that we were sale agreed the week before I was in the doctor getting my lump checked. So it all happened quite significantly close. So like, thinking about things and going back, it was like the house overpowered everything, and we were just trying to think about what's next. What do we have to do? Where do we go? There was a lot of questions, a lot of hurt, a lot of anger, a lot of why me? I'm like, how? I was healthy. I was on a fitness journey. I was like, what do you mean I have cancer? Still struggle to this day to get my head around it. Still struggle to be like, I'm now looking at life going, how did that just happen? It's been the roughest roller coaster I could have ever imagined facing in my life. It's not something you know how to deal with, or you're told how to deal with. No one gives you a playbook to be like, here you go, this is what you do. And then no two people are the same. There's women I've met that have gone through cancer and have gotten it while they're pregnant. And I'm like, so many people are dealing with it differently. And I was very much like, sure, what's the point of me sharing my story? And I'm like, but no two stories are the same. And what hit with someone, for me, like for what I went through, that might resonate with someone else. And then vice versa. A lady that has been pregnant, going through treatment, that resonates with so many others as well.
The friends and family get you through those dark days?
I would not be sitting here today without the help of my friends and family. My family have been absolutely amazing. For them to do what they've had to do was very tough, and I've always looked at it in a sense of, I'm really glad it was me. I would not want to watch them go through it. And I still say it. I said, if it's only me ever diagnosed and no one has to do this, I'm like, I wish I could do it for everybody. But like, my sisters having to basically pick me up at my absolute worst and my lows. Chemotherapy was very difficult. It absolutely wipes you, takes away what you see in the mirror. So, excuse me, I really struggled with that aspect. Still to this day I do. But like that, my friends and my family, I have The support network I have is amazing. I have so many friends. I still have friends from primary school. Like, we're still best friends since 4 years of age. I have friends from secondary school that are still very much in my life, and friends that I've met along the way. Like, I'm honestly one of the luckiest girls. Like, the support network, it's like I said, it's amazing. It's my partner's always like, could you not lose a few friends, especially when weddings come along, because you're constantly invited to something. But they definitely did get me through. Like, I have godchildren, I have nephews, I have such, like, my family is amazing. And like, for the two little nephews, like, they saw me, like, they were quite young obviously, but they saw me without my hair. And I remember one day my hair was going back, and the littlest lad, Connor, looked at me and he's like, Liddy. And he just looked at me and he just started going to with his hair. And I was like, what? And he's like, your hair. And I was like, yeah, I know. I was like, there's hair on my head. And it was only growing back, but just their resilience and their determination. And I always looked at them and I was like, I want to see these growing up. Like, I remember getting to the end of chemotherapy and I got very, very sick. I was sick going through it. But towards the end of chemotherapy, I was very ill and I was like, I can't do another round. It's like, how am I supposed to do another 2 rounds? And I remember sitting in with my oncologist. She was like, you have to, I really want you to get to these 6 rounds. I was like, how? I was like, you're barely picking yourself back up before you were being hit again. But I always looked at the future and I always looked ahead and I tried to maintain that positivity throughout. There was days I cried for hours and hours and hours, but then there was days where I was so busy looking forward and looking ahead. So without my family and friends, I definitely would not have got through it. Like, to see what they've had to see and to be there and bring me to appointments, to help me care for myself at home. We had a nursing system at home when I came home from my surgery. Like, to have friends take time off work to come and look after you for the day. It's very rare to have someone to be like, I'm there, what do you need? And like I said, only for them, they're still today and will always be my biggest supporters.
What advice would you give to another person who's starting out that journey that you started out 2 years ago? What would you say to that person?
Definitely to let all the emotions come. I know a lot of people try and fight them and they're like, I shouldn't be feeling like this, or they try and switch the narrative in a sense of trying to always look at the positives as well. Sit with your thoughts, sit with your feelings, definitely reach out. I use a fabulous support centre in Portlaoise called the Cushla Centre, and absolute angels on earth, because as much as you're confiding in your family and friends and they're supporting you as best as they can, to speak to a professional, like, you can just speak. Like, there was things I would have spoken to them about that I was afraid to say at home, I was afraid to say openly. And then definitely, like, the connections you make with someone that has gone through it, because nobody gets it. You don't want anybody to ever get it. But if you make a link with someone that does, and to not be afraid to reach out. I was very lucky that I had a girl reach out who is now one of my close friends. And she was like, just know I'm here. It took me a while to message her. And once I did, we have built such a fabulous relationship and she has helped me through it. Because there are days that no one can answer the questions that you have in your head. And you're like, is this normal? I'm like, what do I do here? And to not be afraid to ask those questions, to obviously get the help, to talk to someone professional. It has helped change my life. Like, something so horrible and horrendous that I'm now in the health system for forever. I have to go up every year till I'm in my 60s, if not longer. I was like, to have that sense, I was like, it's not nice to do it, but like, to go and do these things and you're meeting people along the way. It's definitely something that it's changed my mindset to now that I'm like, yeah, I know I'm going up and getting checked every year, but I'm getting checked every year. They're making sure I'm okay. They're making sure it's not reoccurring. And then to just be so open and honest, like, there's no judgment. No two people are the same. Your journey is your journey. like you can't compare it to what someone else has went through, because it's very easy to look at someone and be like, well, why is their hair growing so much and like mine isn't, or why are they back to work? Your situation and your experience is not the same as mine, or it won't be the same as someone else's. It's frightening how many women are being diagnosed with breast cancer. Like still to this day, like I've heard of 2 women that I know like have been diagnosed, and I'm like, what? How is this happening? And it's to make that connection with people. It's just to not be afraid to ask for help or to share your story, and there's just no right or wrong way to deal with it. I continue to drive home about checking yourself every month. People have come up to me and said, I'm afraid to check myself because of what I'd find. And it's wild how that's someone's thoughts on it. And I'm like, yeah, but I was like, if I didn't find it when I found it, I would not be here today. There's no I wouldn't. My cancer was spreading very, very fast. I was like, I would not be sitting here today. And to get the treatment I got, yes, it was very intense, but I am now here and hopefully will outlive everybody.
The future's bright.
The future is very bright. We secured our home in the end. Unfortunately, I'm not on it at the moment, but I've done a lot of work with the Irish Cancer Society and the Right to be Forgotten legislation. That the legislation has changed for once what was 7 years to disclose your cancer diagnosis is now 5 years. I have a year behind me. I have 4 years to go to be clinically, like for the hospital to say, yes, you are cancer free. And then that'll mean for us that my name will be on the house. And it's so nice to have the home, because obviously, like I said, when I got diagnosed, I was very much like, oh my God, I'm not going to hold on to it. We're going to lose it. And then when we did manage to secure it, we actually moved in. I was getting my last round of chemotherapy at the start of December. So I got my last round when I was still living there, and I still had surgery and radiation to go through. But even to be sitting in the house and, oh God, I had one day in the house going, I'm not going to get to enjoy this for long, because I still wasn't sure of how the tumours were looking and if they had shrunk and how everything else was going to go. But to be here now, we'll be in the home 2 years this December. We're continuing to look forward. I have always lived my best life and I've not changed. I try and say yes to everything, and definitely looking at the future in a sense of, I always look at the positive things and best I can. It's given me a new lease of life, as hard as the journey has been. I now don't stress about the small things. I take a beat. I would have been a very quite anxious and nervous person in a sense of like, if there was a speed van down the road and I seen it, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get a speeding ticket. How am I going to pay for it? Used to really stress me out, like something so minor. Whereas now I'm like, it's fine. It's only a speeding ticket. Like, it's going to be okay. I'm still here. I'm still alive. I'm still breathing. And I'm just so grateful for every day that now if I do have a bad day, I'm angry at myself for having a bad day. But as humans do, we're always so hard on ourselves. But no, continue to look forward to even the small things in life. A cup of coffee, fresh air, the sun, little things that we so easily take for granted.
More power to you, Lydia.
Thank you so much. I really
Thank you for your
appreciate
time.
it. Thank you. My name is Lydia Whelan. I'm from Monastravan, County Kildare, and I am a breast cancer survivor.